So I have something I want to talk to you about from the 2 nights ago when we were pulling in at Chipotle, and we were talking about whether, I pulled in and I was parking on the line, and you were like, no, get off the line, and I'm like, and so anyway, you were very, very adamant that I needed to not be on the line when I was parking. And I just wanted to talk to you more about that because yesterday when I went to the Y to swim, I was very conscious that I wasn't on the line and I wouldn't park on the line. If there's a place, I typically would never do that. And I was aware of that again yesterday morning when I was parking, and I want you to know that. And really the reason it didn't matter to me the other night was just because I knew all those businesses were closed and the parking lot wasn't that full, and I knew, people weren't going to need the places. But you reacted really strongly and...
About not parking on the line.
Yeah, and anyway, I just didn't know what... I just wanted to ask you more if you could let me know where you were coming from with that, or... I don't know.
Sure. There were probably a couple things. One was I know that I have a pet peeve about parking. I think that's part of it. I have a pet peeve about parking on the lines, and instead parking in between the lines in the stall or in a parking lot, wherever it is. So part of it is a pet peeve. Part of it is it was my dad's truck, and so because we're using my dad's truck and he takes really good care of it all the time, I'm especially also aware of, I just want to make sure it's always safe and that kind of thing. So I'm sure that was going on as well. You had said something earlier. You were wondering if it was because of you making various decisions leadership-wise between us at different times during the week, and maybe I was bugged about that a little bit. And I think maybe that might have been the case. To explain part of why I reacted the way I did, that it might have been I was frustrated about several different places when you told me to do this or that, and I felt not free to do that, but not free to make my own decisions, I mean. So that might have been part of why I reacted. I think the bigger thing of why I reacted as strongly as I did was just that I feel like so oftentimes when we make decisions, we just kind of volley back and forth, and neither of us makes decisions. And I was just trying to say, look, just do what I want. Just park it between the lines, and let's just get on with it. I'm sure that's part of what was going on as well. You're smiling right now because...
I think I'm smiling because of remembering how strongly you told me to park it. Anyway.
You think I said it really strongly?
Oh, you did say it really strongly.
Okay.
So that's helpful to know that parking on lines is a pet peeve of yours. I don't think I ever really knew that.
Okay.
And that makes sense that, because it was your dad's truck. And I was wondering if that was part of it. I was just surprised because you reacted so strongly, and you don't usually do that. And I'm like, why does it even matter? There's nobody even parked out here. I mean, I could see it would matter if it was during business hours and the parking lot everyone needed a space. But so I was kind of wanting to know just what more was behind that. And you talked about how a lot of times we'll just go back and forth and not really decide. So I think I can see that. And so you were just trying to make a decision, but I guess
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess because you didn't say, I'm just going to make a decision. And because of the intensity with which you said, park it on the line, or get off the line. Those two things combined, or at least that's how I recall that you said it. So I guess I was like, man, is there more going on here? What else going on? And that makes sense that maybe you were bugged that I had been more challenging your leadership throughout the weekend. And maybe that had built up somewhat too, so.
You were saying something earlier too about you feeling controlled. So
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you, because that was part of what you were frustrated or angry about or something. So why don't you tell me about that a little bit more?
Well, yeah, I felt really controlled by you basically just saying, no, do it my way, kind of thing. And I wanted to fight back, but I knew I shouldn't. But everything in me was wanting to say, you know, what are you doing? Why are you, anyway, what's
Why
up
am I
with
reacting
you?
so much?
Yeah. So yeah, I felt really controlled. And I guess that's the whole issue of, I know we struggle with this leadership thing, the 69%er, where I want to lead, you want to lead, or I do just naturally lead and you naturally lead, and how we work that out in marriage, because it's good for you to lead, but when I feel like I'm just shut down and controlled, it makes me really, really angry.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what to do with that. Is that just an issue where I just have to die to myself?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically, I just gave in to have peace in marriage. So I basically just reparked it and we, went in to Chipotle.
Yeah.
But just, I don't know. Yeah, felt controlled and angry and all that. So
You just said two things. You're explaining what you're feeling, and that makes sense. I can see how you felt controlled and angry. I had, said pull in here and then pull over there and then make sure you're in the lines and pull out again. And I was just kind of being directive or maybe overly directive or controlling. And I can see how you feel that way. And mad as well. That makes sense. You asked then, what do you do with that? You alluded to that earlier, or just now and then earlier as well. What do you do with that kind of experience when that happens again? And then you said, do I just die to self? And my response is that we need to see this kind of issue dynamic between us. It's as you said a minute ago, it's a 69%er. It is one of the areas that you and I are going to struggle with. It's one of the 69% of the issues that you and I are going to struggle with again and again and again, and probably never have complete resolution to them, because it's just partially who I am, partially who you are, and so forth. So what do we do with that? Well, my overall general answer is, again, as John Gottman said, we need to learn to manage that, manage those moments, those experiences. And we manage them sometimes by dying to self, okay? Which I think you do really well at, and I think I don't do near as well as you do. I think you, well, I'm just telling you, I think you
die more than I do.
No, I think you die. Well, anyways, I'm just telling you, I think you do. But that's part of managing it. Is sometimes we just die to self and go on with it. That's part of managing that particular issue between us. But part of it is talking about it. Is bringing it up, and that's where I think I do better or worse, you might say, because I bring things up a lot more, and you don't so much. And so I'm glad you did to let me know. I didn't know you were even upset about that, and I didn't know that I even came across that strong. So you saying that was helpful, because literally I hadn't even thought about it since then. So I didn't even know it was still bothering you or anything like that at all. and I wouldn't have known if you hadn't brought it up. So I'm glad you did bring it up. So I know that it was an issue, so that I can hear you and talk with you about it, and learn from each other as we talk it through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's helpful to talk it through because it's helpful for me to know where you're coming from. And even the fact that you haven't thought about it since then shows me that you probably didn't have all that much emotion going on with it like I did, because otherwise it would have stuck with you.
Yeah.
So, and interesting to know that you have a pet peeve about lines, because I understand, I have pet peeves about things, and they do bug me. And it makes sense about your dad's truck, and interesting that you were just trying to make a decision. Next time, maybe just tell me, I'm gonna just make a decision. Let's go.
And or try to make it a little softer.
Or try to make it softer. But your face was so like your face was like, I don't see it very often.
Interesting.
So I think there might have been more going on than you remember. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Think about it.